Well, you can always bleep it out, can't you?
Yes, all right.
No, this is a very clean
Stupid.
podcast, and yeah, all right.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson, Richard James, and Chris Dale.
Well, we're well and truly into the new year now, aren't we? How are your resolutions going? Sit up straight, eat your greens, don't swear.
Oh.
How are they?
Oh, you said swear. You've always primed me to do a naughty swear.
Certainly don't swear on the podcast.
Goodness me. I don't really do resolutions.
I thought you could say you don't really do much on the Gerry Anderson podcast, and I was about to agree with you.
Oh, how rude. Gosh.
I don't do resolutions either, because it's just, why not make a resolution any day of the year?
Yeah, every day of the year.
My New Year's resolution
Yes.
is to get through a podcast without making any mistakes that I then have to cut out in the edit room.
Gosh.
Okay?
Do I have to try and abide by that as well?
No, it's just something.
Thank goodness, because I won't be able to do that. Because I'm very good on the old fluffs.
Excellent. Jamie
Yes.
Fluffer Anderson over
Thank
there.
you very much.
And I'm Richard.
Perfect James.
That's it. And this is the Gerry Anderson podcast, and you're welcome to it. It's pod 2, I'm looking down, 291.
291.
It's getting close, isn't it?
What, 300?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really haven't given it any thought at all. It's
No.
like a couple of months away.
Yeah. We should probably plan something fairly
I'll do
sharpish.
that. Yeah, right, great.
Any suggestions from Podsterons that have come in?
Well, I don't know, because we'll have to find out when we read out the Voice of the Podsterons, and
Right.
maybe people have commented on our Facebook group about it, so we can't find that out until later in the podcast.
Okay.
Maybe even the Randomiser himself, the Randomiser, will have a clue, and he might give us an idea in the Randomiser, which is later on in the podcast.
Should we say hello to Chris?
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, guys.
But we certainly won't be hearing any ideas of what to do in our 300th episode from FAB Facts, which is coming up any moment now.
Right. And we're not doing any news because that comes
Yeah,
next time
that's
with
right.
the news roundup.
Exactly.
Because we're not doing
Yeah, we're not doing
individual
that.
news
That's
things.
right.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I think that's probably one of the smoothest introductions to the podcast.
Like I
I've
say, it's
ever
because
done.
I'm determined not to make any mistakes.
Right.
I just got to get through one without making a mistake.
So you'd rather just say, yeah,
What?
random things.
No, I'm not being random.
Okay, fine. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, go on then.
This is your favourite bit, isn't it?
It is. It's Fab Facts.
Great. Here's Fab Facts.
Now, time for this week's Fab Facts.
Can I basically say anything where it sounds like you need to agree, and then you'll have to agree because you can't edit it?
No, I can still disagree. Like
Really?
what?
Well, Fab Facts is the greatest love of your life.
Well, I could say, yes, I said that once, but I didn't really mean it.
All right, fine.
I'm not saying I have. I'm just saying I can't make any mistakes.
Okay, fine.
For one episode.
Well,
Go
are
on
you
then.
ready for a Fab Fact?
Yeah.
This is the book of Fab Facts.
It is.
Within it, lots of Fab Facts.
Oh.
Some slightly duff facts as
Really?
well.
Like what?
Hopefully, well, I don't know, but hopefully we won't happen upon one of those because that would be
Right.
terribly sad. But I'm going to flick through the pages. Richard will cry fab
Mm-hmm.
at a moment that suits him. That will stop me flicking, and then hopefully there will be a fab or a duff fact.
Right.
Are we ready?
A bit of jeopardy. Yes, I'm ready.
Here we go.
Fab.
Very good.
Yes?
Oh, there's a slight printing error on this fab fact.
Oh, excellent.
That could be awkward, couldn't it?
Yes.
Let's see whether it's fab or not. Richard,
Yes.
are you going anywhere nice on your holidays this year?
Are you my barbers? You like-
Yes.
Yeah, doing anything nice on the
You
weekend?
definitely want me cutting your hair. Real expert in all things hair. Well, one of the challenges of going on a foreign holiday is remembering which side of the road to drive your hire car on, isn't it?
Is this the 1970s or something?
Yes, it's
a
apparently-
foreign holiday, you
It's
say?
an episode of One Foot in the Grave. Is it One Foot in the Algarve in HD?
I don't believe it.
Yeah, oh, very good.
You see,
that was
they're all
quite
there.
good. And that's an impression you haven't cracked out
I know,
before.
I know. Full of surprises.
He's amazing, isn't he?
New year,
Hang
new
on,
me.
what have we had? We had Father Christmas,
Yeah.
Australian, and now
Now
Victor
Richard Wilson.
Meldrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yes,
Yeah.
very good. Anyway, sorry. So you have to remember which side of the road to drive your car
Yes,
on.
yeah, sure. It's a challenge.
Very, very, very tough.
Yeah.
This is often helped, of course, by the driver sitting on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side, as
Right.
we do in the UK.
Yes.
Not sure if you knew that,
I
Podsterons.
do, yeah,
That's
yeah,
this
I do
week's
that,
Fab
yeah,
Fact.
yeah.
No, but did you know that the future is left-hand drive?
Okay. For all of us.
Yes.
All right.
But so, it turns out, is the past. At least it is, according to Dad's 1970 series UFO.
All right. Go on.
Are you with me so far?
Not really.
Nor me.
Plough on.
The two shadow cars that feature in the series were originally built for the movie Journey to the Far Side of the Sun from the year before.
Yeah.
You know, Doppelganger.
I do.
The movie takes place primarily in Portugal, where cars are left-hand drive.
Right, okay.
Dad rather cleverly found an in-universe explanation for this, of course claiming that in the future, that is 1980...
When UFO was set.
Yeah, the UK had converted over to driving on the right-hand side of the road, and therefore left-hand drive.
Okay, yeah.
The change never happened, of course,
Yeah.
at least not so far, in the early 2024 when we're recording this, just as the US was predicted to have switched to the metric system, which also hasn't happened yet.
No.
Other Anderson shows, however, do seem to suggest that the change is coming sometime soon. Captain Scarlet's Spectrum patrol car is left-hand drive, as is Mac's Jet Air car from Joe 90, despite both series being set predominantly in the UK.
That's true, yes.
But there is at least one classic vehicle that bucks the trend.
Ah.
Whenever Thunderbirds is set, let's not get into that right now.
Right.
Parker drives Lady Penelope's Fab 1 Rolls-Royce from a central position.
Right.
With his driver's chair and the steering wheel set slap bang in the middle of the car's chassis. So maybe the future isn't left-hand or right-hand drive.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the middle.
Oh, that's nice. So everyone would be happy then, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
That's nice. Yeah, okay. Oh, what about Gabriel from Secret Service?
Oh, that was right-hand drive,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure.
yeah, that's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, that's an old Model T
Yeah.
Ford, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Not going to have a... Well, I suppose you would have had a left-hand drive one for the US market, I guess.
I guess. Yeah. Who knows? What
There
a
you go.
fascinating fab fact that was.
I mean, I did warn of a duff fact. Did we hit?
That's far from being a duff fact.
Really?
I really enjoyed that.
Okay.
That was a great one. Because I have an interest in left-hand and right-hand drive cars, you see.
Do you?
In fact, I think I'm one of the very few people who've bought Nicholas Young's classic car number plate book.
Have you?
Yeah. it's
Gosh.
great. And therein are featured many left-hand and right-hand drive vehicles.
I mean, this is truly fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I'll bring it in next
So,
time.
Podsterons, if you've got a fab fact about where the driver's position
Jamie,
is...
Jamie, you
what?
seem to nod it off.
Oh, sorry. Where something in a car is, then email us, podcast@gerryanderson.com. Anyway, that brings us to the end, thankfully, this week's...
Car fact! What did you say?
I said car fact, absolutely.
What did you say?
Yeah, no, I definitely said car fact.
I think you said duff fact,
I didn't
didn't you?
say duff fact, that would be weird. Anyway, let's move on.
All right, shall we move on to some wonderful podsterons?
Yes, does that mean we have to open the door
Well,
and let in
they're clamouring to be let in.
the chilly podsteron air?
Come on, then.
Okay.
This is the voice of the Podsterons.
Yes, it's the voice of the podsterons. It's the time in the podcast where I read out, and you read out, some emails that our podsterons have been sending in at podcast@gerryanderson.com, usually of a Gerry Anderson nature or theme.
Usually, yeah. I mean, I've noticed a bit of a pattern over the last few weeks. Is that every week
Yeah.
I seem to have read out an email from Mark Moss.
Right, this is not the same one, I hope.
No, different emails, but say Mark Moss.
he's
Unless there's
prolific.
multiple Mark Mosses.
What's the plural of that, I wonder? A gathering of moss? That's
Oh,
the-
I see. A gathering of Mark Mosses.
Yeah.
Shall I read out another Mark Moss email?
Go on.
Hi,
Shame to
Jamie,
spoil
Richard,
it,
and
yeah.
Chris. Mark Moss here.
Yes, good.
I email every week. Having watched and enjoyed the recent interviews conducted by Richard and Jamie, not just you,
Right.
I was wondering who Space 1999 related it might be enjoyable to listen to regarding both their appearance on the show and their acting careers and lives before and subsequent to our favourite wandering moon-based TV series.
Yep.
The names I came up with whom I believe would make interesting guests are
Yep.
James Smiley, possibly, or Smiley, I
Right.
think Smiley, Judy Geeson, Gay Hamilton, Lisa Harrow, and John Hugg.
Okay.
I believe James, Gay and John are UK-based, which would make face-to-face interviews possible, although I don't believe Lisa Harrow lives in the UK. I have seen a recent YouTube video where she talks about her career, so maybe she might be willing to take part in an interview with GerryAnderson.com or over Skype or whatever is fashionable now.
Right, okay. Well, if it's fashionable, we certainly won't be featuring
Won't be
it on
us,
the Gerry Anderson
no.
podcast. No.
I think either of the aforementioned would make excellent guests on the podcast itself. Due to the passing of time, their recollection of experiences on the show itself might be limited, however. Each seem to have had very varied careers, both in and away from acting, and it would be great to find out more about their experiences, accomplishments over the years.
Okay.
Many thanks to all the team for their continuing efforts and keeping the work of Gerry Anderson very much alive. Keep up the great work. Kind regards, Mark Moss.
Nice.
Oh, he's revealed a bit of information about himself this week.
What's that then? His hat size?
Guernsey.
Oh, he
lives on Guernsey. Yeah,
Guernsey's lovely.
not been there for a very long time.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. Lovely place.
Isn't there an old World
Fort?
War II hospital bunker thing built into
That
the
might
rock,
be Jersey.
or is that Jersey?
I think that's Jersey.
Oh, sorry. Well, then forget that. That's not a
Whoops.
fab fact. Duff
Hawks.
fact.
Now, you know how every week I like to insert an email that we've read before?
Yes.
Well, there it is from Stuart Lomas.
You appear to have done it again.
Well done, Stuart, for having your email feature twice, even though I'm not going to read it out.
But I think actually this is because Stuart emailed this thing twice, which is why. But he added a line into it.
All right.
So don't read it again, though.
No.
I'm already stumped.
This one is from Zero X pilot Rich Goodborn,
Right.
who says, "Hi, Jamie, Chris, and my namesake Richard." Well, which came first, I wonder? Am I his namesake or vice versa?
We'll never know.
I've recently spent the last couple of months acquiring and catching up on 15 of Big Finish's Anderson audio dramas.
15?
Are there 15 of them?
Well, if he says so, yes.
I have to say, I'm absolutely amazed and ensconced in each and every one of them.
Oh, I love it when people are ensconced.
That's what you're really known for, isn't it? Especially casting the late Nicholas Parsons not only as Denise Breyer's ex-husband, but also as the ex-husband of Zelda.
That was a fun one.
Masterstroke.
And you were involved.
I was there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an idea for celebrating 300 pods.
Ah, yes.
And yes, steam did come out of my head like Robert from Fireball XL5.
Must be a good idea, then.
Wouldn't it be great if we could get the cast of one of the audio dramas to perform during a live podcast? And even to top it off with some of the podders assisting with the sound effects. Many thanks, Rich Goodborn.
That sounds like a
Nightmare.
potential disaster, but perhaps something to consider.
Nice idea. Certainly the idea of a live podcast is one that people seem to be toying with.
Where
for
can we do
our
it
300th.
from? Live from Slough?
Yeah.
Live from Norwich?
How would that work? Anyway. That's
Well,
for us to work out.
we could do it in the Curve library
Oh,
opposite.
okay. All right. Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got one from Steve.
Hello, Steve.
Steve says, "Hi there, niche micro-celebrities."
Niche micro-celebrities.
That's sort of charming and offensive all at
I
once,
don't
isn't
mind
it?
that. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. On a personal note, he dives straight in.
Right. Uh-oh.
I spent a morning interviewing Gerry Anderson at Pinewood Studios during the making of Space Precinct, 1994 to 1995.
Oh, yeah.
It's a long interview.
Yeah.
And he couldn't have been more charming and generous with his time, willing to chat to some fan he'd never heard of before at the height of a busy production. He was funny, brackets. When I had to take a toilet break mid-interview, he quipped, "That's why I work with puppets. I never had that problem with them."
Hey!
Close brackets. And accommodating. Open brackets. I found myself down on the set watching an episode being filmed. A few months later, I met him again at an Anderson convention. At one point, I found myself in the dealer room rifling through pirated Doctor Who VHS tapes. Open brackets again. This was before most of the stories had been officially released. Close brackets here. I don't think there's a second set of closed brackets, so this is going to sound a bit weird. When a young boy came up and asked me which would be good stories to buy.
Right.
While I was passing on the benefit of my nerdy wisdom, Gerry arrived and let out a mock groan of exasperation, sighing, "Don't encourage him."
I don't think it was mock, was it?
No. It turned out the boy was Jamie,
Hey!
more interested back then in Time Lords than in international rescue. So the thing is, how much Doctor Who merch does Jamie have now? Keep on podding. Looking forward to a Terry Christmas, which in the past, we really enjoyed a Terry Christmas, says
That's
Steve.
it. That's more like it.
Yeah.
Well, I know for a fact you've got a dematerialization circuit, haven't you?
I do, yes.
And various DVDs and Blu-rays and things.
Yes, I've also got, now I forgot what it's called. It's in Tom Baker's pocket in Genesis.
Oh, yes.
Nyla takes it out. It's a little red and black thing.
It's time thing.
No, it's detecting
things.
ions and stuff.
Ion detector.
I can't remember what it's called. Chris? No.
No, black
Brilliant.
looks all round.
It's so ridiculous that I can't remember what it's called now. Yes, I've got a third scale TARDIS.
Yeah.
Which was gifted to me by the lovely Nick Briggs. What a beautiful gift that was.
Wonderful.
Some Sonics and all that. No, I've got quite a lot still. Now, that moment at that convention really is one that's burned into my memory.
Really?
Yeah. Because, as Steve said, not all the tapes were out that time, so
Yes.
it was really difficult to get stuff. Now,
Yes.
all these were, he says pirated, they were recorded off UK Gold, but I didn't realise that at the time. And I remember rifling through the things and not knowing the titles because I was it was early on in my Doctor Who fandom.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Steve recommended The Gunfighters, which I took a copy of.
Oh.
And I may still have somewhere all these years later.
Oh.
But yeah, I remember that table covered in tapes in the corner of a dealer's room.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Happy memory.
Well done. Open brackets. Steve, close
Close
brackets.
bracket. No, only and then open bracket and then don't close it again.
Steve, did we meet then at Pinewood during the filming of Space Precinct? I mean, I was there at least 2 days a week.
2 days a week.
I know, such a great
Lazy.
job. I know.
Lazy.
Yeah, brilliant. All for now. If, like Steve, you have a burning desire to get in touch with the Gerry Anderson podcast, well, it's easy. You simply email us.
Podcast@gerryanderson.com.
See, I'm concentrating really hard. I haven't made a single mistake yet. No,
yet.
I haven't.
There's still plenty of time.
That's my New Year's resolution, to get through one podcast without making a list.
Okay.
Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes.
To the second part of our fantastic interview with a wonderful guest star from Space 1999, The Protectors, and a myriad of other cult TV
A million
programs
things.
and films. Yeah. You better get out the chair then.
All right,
Go
bye.
make yourself a coffee. We are so lucky to be joined by an actual real-life Gerry Anderson legend. He's a firm favourite, much sought after on the convention circuit, so we're fortunate that he's found time in his Moonbase Alpha roster to join us here in Slough. He has a list of credits as long as the red sleeve on his uniform, having appeared in so many classic films and TV productions. It's Prentis Hancock! Well, we obviously didn't put you off, Prentis.
No.
You're back again.
Back again, yeah.
Thank you for making the effort. Now, last week we saw you at work with some of the biggest names in the business, Robert Wagner and the likes of David McCullum, etc. And all that was even before Space 1999.
Yes.
So you were cooking on gas already.
I was very much. I mean, my credit on the show with Wagner was a guest star.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
And I only got at the top of the rear end crawl
Yeah.
with that was, I think, a mistake. They should have. I should have had billing
Aha.
of some sort.
Right. Yes.
Or in America, if it's sold to America, you must do it the American way.
Yeah. Now, what attracted you to Space 1999 then at this point in your career? I'm assuming, was it a year's work? I suppose it's
It was
always.
a year's work,
Yeah.
4 times the salary
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
of what I was getting.
Yeah.
Plus that included the amount you were paid per week
Aha.
for subsequent showings,
Yeah.
except UK ones,
Right.
which is why you don't become a millionaire the way that the Americans do.
Indeed. We've got it all wrong, haven't we?
Yeah.
Did it keep you particularly busy, or was it?
Yes,
right. So
fairly busy.
just about every day at
Just
time?
about. I mean, there were days off.
Yeah.
When there were days when all the space main mission stuff was done in one go. You know? But more or less every day.
Yeah. Did it, the science fiction aspect of it, did that bamboozle you slightly, or were you at home with the various technical terms and jargon and alien planets and so on?
Didn't bother me at all.
Because as an actor, you're a storyteller, really, and that could be on the moon or in
Absolutely.
anywhere at all. You're still just telling a story, aren't you?
Yeah.
I asked you for a favourite moment, and you've chosen something really quite sweet, which we'll have a look at now. So take a look at this.
Paul, mind if I share the music with you?
There we are. Beautifully done. Beautiful.
Yeah, there were 2 reasons for that episode. The other was it's about the third one we did, I think. Yes, we the scene where the 2 leads, Bergman and
Oh, that's Martin Landau, I think, isn't it?
Martin Landau.
That's it, yeah.
they about to have the big scene when they drink to it.
Yeah.
And I'm in that scene to begin with, and
Yeah.
then they say, "Well, see, Paul."
Yeah.
It's a nice guy, Paul, but
Yeah, but-
and I knew then where the star finished
Aha.
and ended.
Right, yeah, that's
That
interesting.
was, I could have been in that scene,
Yeah.
lurking in the background.
Yes, that's right. But a rather sweet scene there with, I think, Suzanne Roquette, I think, in
Suzanne.
Black Sun there, as you mentioned. Simply strumming on a guitar. But it's...
Yes,
Are you particularly musical then?
I was. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I say musical. I mean, playing a guitar is not musical exactly.
Yeah, right.
But Yes, if I'd stayed at the school I was at in England for 2 years, Wanstead County High, I would have learnt 4 instruments.
Ah, right. Do you regret not having done that, or?
Yes, in a way.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
But learning, I mean, say I ended up with 2 instruments.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of practice and a lot of hard work to be sufficiently good on those.
Yes.
I'd have had a different sort of career, but
Right.
I think acting was the right one.
You still pick up the guitar occasionally?
No.
Right.
When I was 70, 11 years ago now,
Yeah.
I suddenly put it down.
Right.
I thought, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'd fed up getting somebody on the computer
Yeah.
at night, who knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
I never, ever got round to learning it that much.
Right.
And so for some reason I never touched it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
intend to auction it
Right.
next year.
Right.
What will be the 50th anniversary of
Amazing.
Space 1999.
We're not talking about that very guitar, though, are we?
No, that very guitar.
Is it the actual
Yeah,
guitar you still
yeah.
have and you're considering auctioning it?
I bought that for, I think, £16
Right.
in Charing-Cross Road
Right.
when I was going to Oldham to do play.
Yeah.
And that's the price then of a standard guitar.
Yeah.
But when I got to Chichester,
Mm-hmm.
I used to keep it up on a shelf, or somebody knocked it down one day, and it split open,
Right.
the body of it.
Yeah.
And my dresser, his father had ran a second-hand shop,
Yeah.
a high-quality one,
Yeah.
and he took it for a week and put it all together again
Right.
and handed it back to me and said, "That's a handmade guitar."
Yes, I suppose so. Absolutely.
No, not because of what he'd done.
But it was anyway.
already, yeah.
I see.
So I looked after it
I bet you did. Yeah.
when he told me that.
Yeah, that's right. Now, that little scene we saw there, it strikes me, was that part of the original script or was that your idea? Because the producers and writers must have known that you were in some way musical.
Yeah, well, yes, can't remember when it happened. There's
Yeah.
another one where I'm singing
Right, yes.
and leading the song in like a party.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
everybody's happening. It's one of the most filthy rugby songs you'll ever meet.
Great.
Oh, said Jasper, do not touch me. And you drop one. I was waiting for
Yeah.
my marching orders.
Yes. But they didn't realise. Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, we've stumbled deep now into Space 1999 territory. So if you don't mind, let's have a look at another scene of you in
Yeah.
action from the series. Let's take a look at this.
Away from Alpha. Away from sensors, monitors, and computers. We have done the longest tour of duty ever. We deserve a break.
Not exactly home.
I am happy with anything that gets me out of Alpha.
It makes you look at things in a different light.
Sunlight?
No more than that. If this is the end of one life, we have to start to build a new one. To live like human beings again.
Do you know which earthly sound I miss most in the silence of space?
Birdsong?
A rather touching, a beautiful moment, Prentis. Were there lifelong friendships made on the set of Space 1999?
Yeah, so she was a good friend to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And colleague.
Uh-huh.
I knew Kano quite well for a while.
Uh-huh.
And Suzanne, who was stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, some people have sort of
Yeah.
gone off on the phone. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, sure. Was there a sort of, maybe not a divide, but a difference in attitude or approach between the American cast, the Martin Landau, Barbara Bain, and the British cast, or was it very much a company feeling?
It was company feeling,
Yeah.
I think. We all... I mean, you accepted they were American, you couldn't not.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, I remember discussing the legalization already of drugs
Yeah.
with Martin Landau.
Right.
Because at that time, being an addict on heroin was legal,
Right.
as long as you used certain surgeries.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
There were rules. And the Tories or whoever got rid of it, made drugs illegal.
Yeah.
And Martin said that it puts a street price immediately on drugs.
Yes.
You'll be swamped with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's right?
Yes, and here we are. That's right. Yeah, interesting. Now, before we move on to some more questions from our viewers, you've got a few books on the table there in front of you. So what have you brought with us?
Well, that just to show you where I was from.
Yes.
It's a rather lovely picture. I suppose Craig McMaster deserves copyright.
Yeah, sure thing. Yeah, absolutely. Fond memories of your childhood there? I mean, it looks a very beautiful place.
Very. I was 13 when we went back. I was born during the war. My father joined the Navy, which meant joining the Canadians, and serving in corvettes all his life. So,
right,
or most of the war.
Yeah,
on the North Atlantic convoy runs.
Yeah.
So we transferred from Scotland to England.
Yeah.
A flat in Clapham.
Right.
And
bit of a culture shock, or not so much?
Not at that age.
Sure.
I mean, we moved when I was 1 or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a culture shock when I moved the other way.
Yes, I can imagine.
The change in schools was. They never understood. They never got round to making up their mind that in Scotland you change into senior school at 12.
Yeah,
not 11.
Right.
So there's that.
I see. Yeah.
So that missing year
yeah.
Was impossible to make up in your own time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I gave up worrying about that.
Right, yeah, yeah. And what else do you have there?
That's... This enormous book is a must-have for any Space 1999 survivor like myself, or anyone who enjoys the series.
Yeah.
Matteo Lacosa, who's the producer of Powis Media, has got people to write books over 20 years, which all gel, all
right. Dovetail together somehow.
Together to become part of a whole, in addition to the series.
Oh, how lovely. Great. And did you have any input into that, or did you...
Well, I wrote the foreword.
Right. Yes.
Which I'll give you part of.
Come on, give us a little taster.
This autumn, it will be 50 years since I first walked onto the main mission set of Space 1999 at Pinewood Studios. 50 years. I was so impressed by the size and seeming permanence of the set that I quipped we could still be doing it in wheelchairs. In reality, main mission was a sort of power station. Think the China syndrome and you'll have some idea of the space. Behind me and up the wide flight of stairs was Commander Koenig's office, and behind that an open area for meeting and greeting and otherwise entertaining those who came to visit from Earth. It was huge and filled most of Soundstage L. Along with its twin, M, there were a pair of stages we use all the time. The main mission settled on L stage for the lifetime of the shoot. The Planet of the Week stood on M stage.
Amazing. Lovely. Fantastic. Do those memories come easy to you, Prentis, or do you have to dig deep for them?
I had to dig for that because it was such a long time ago.
Yes.
And I'd been asked to write this because I wrote the foreword to one of the early books.
Right.
So I was able to tie up with the quipping that to start that way. And I end up by saying if a mobility scooter can stand today, then I've made it work.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Lovely. That's very nice. Thank you for that. And what else do you have there of the final book you
Well,
have?
this is something I wrote, Voltaire's Candide,
Uh-huh.
which I did in, first of all, at the Edinburgh Festival.
Performed in it?
Yeah.
Ah.
One-man show.
Ah.
And then took the show to London.
Yeah.
At Greenwich Playhouse.
I see. Lovely.
And somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
And that's the script of it.
Right. I'll have a look at that later.
And that's the
Fascinating.
reviews.
The good reviews, I would hope.
They are very good, except this one girl who didn't seem to get it at all.
Right.
A disaster.
Oh, you didn't include that in the...
Oh, yes. That's what she wrote.
Wear that with pride, I think. That one is a badge of honour, yeah. Now, it's just time then to dive in here for another question or two from our viewers and listeners. You've got a few there. That'll keep you going. Good.
Really? Let's have one from... Oh, they're all from fellas.
Yeah, well, the majority, yes. I think they probably are, yeah.
Hi, Prentis. I've been a big fan of yours since seeing you in Planet of the Daleks.
Oh, Doctor Who?
My question is, what was it like working on Doctor Who with John Pertwee?
Right.
Versus working with... How different was it working on each show? Very different.
From Space 1999, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
What were the differences for those of us that can't imagine?
Well, he was funnier, John Pertwee.
Yeah. And slightly less money to splash around, of course.
I would think so, yes.
Yeah.
I'm horrified by the amount of money sometimes I'm told how much they got.
Right. Yeah.
Philip Hinchcliffe got £25, I think, to dream up the bad noises on one episode. He did.
Yeah.
£25.
I mean, they were effectively BBC staffers, weren't they? That was what they were hired as, which is, a pittance, really. Yeah. Another question there? I think you've got a couple.
This one's from Anthony Zahita.
From Australia, I think.
Australia?
I think so.
Hi, Prentis. I've always admired the intensity of your acting on screen, even in shows like Chucky and the Monster Club, as your characters seem dangerous and unpredictable. Is science fiction of personal interest to you? Also, which role have you always wanted to play?
Right.
Hamlet.
Oh, really?
Well, yes, it would have been fun at the time.
Did you ever get close?
Yeah, well, the closest I got was I was made the understudy for Hamlet at Pitlochry, because they never had understudies for anybody.
Yeah. But for Hamlet, you probably need one, just in case.
You need one. We then took off for the weekend in London.
Right.
And Hamlet was sitting in the driving seat, and I was next door.
Yes.
And we were fed from behind by Laertes and Rosencrantz and Iris Guildenstern.
Great.
And we could get from 500 miles from Pitlochry to London in 6 hours.
Right.
And then the drive back was horrendous, 14 hours.
Oh, why?
And we were very knackered.
Yes.
Because we came back by day.
Right.
Not by night.
The traffic. Yeah. Beautiful place to work, though, Pitlochry, I would think.
Oh, yeah. But then to do Hamlet after this journey home.
Yes.
3.5 hours of Hamlet.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place, but it's very remote. And at that time, you could get a train from the station up the road. But now I believe you get the train from Pitlochry itself.
Right,
So,
yeah. They're still producing plays even now at Pitlochry, summer season.
Oh, it was. We worked, it was an RAF tent we worked in.
Right.
In the old place. They've moved further out.
Yeah.
Above the loch.
Yeah. The glamour of showbiz, eh?
No,
yeah. And I think there was a third question there that you took as well. You find that one there amongst the...
Gary Hodge, I don't think we had.
Hodgkinson, yes.
Hodgkinson,
that's
yes.
it.
Series 1 of Space 1999 will be a favourite of mine, though I've seen your work in other shows. I'm going to ask the obvious Space 1999 question.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite episode?
Well.
If so, which one?
Yeah.
Thanks for being part of my favourite show of all time.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose I should say, really, the one where I go mad.
The Last Sunset. Why?
I should say that.
Why would you choose that particularly?
Well, because it's showy.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think my favourite one is probably Black Sun overall.
Yeah, sure.
You know.
Yeah. Does it give you a warm feeling reading messages like that from fans who say thank you for being part of my favourite show?
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
You know.
And the great thing is, I think, you know, watching the few clips that we've seen today, it still looks amazing. And, you know, with the new restorations of the film and so on, beautifully pin sharp.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely thing to have of a moment in your career, I suppose. And how do you get on at conventions and so on? Do you do many of them still?
I haven't this last year, but it's because I've had long COVID, so there hasn't done much of anything. You know.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to start again.
Ah, good. Let's have a look at a final clip from your career then, before we say goodbye. This is from 10 or so years after your Space 1999 appearances. It's from Bergerac, if you remember this. Let's take a look.
Oh.
Is anybody home?
We're in shock, Harry. I mean, we've got the tilt just about to go down. Everything's planned, and this piece of vomit is thrown up. I mean, what does it mean? Hey, look at the timing. I mean, how can we go on in the circumstances?
How gutless can you get? There are 4 of us, and only 1 of him.
Yeah, but he found us. Well, he found Ted.
And we haven't found him.
Anyway, he's a psychopath. I mean, I don't mind a bit of aggro, but a murdering nutter who goes around chaining people to garden benches.
And who says there's only 1 of him?
What a bunch of wallies.
There we are.
Nice.
Playing a bit of rough there by the looks of it,
Yeah.
Prentice, yeah.
Bergerac, was that
that's right.
the name of that episode?
That's it. That was the name of the series, yes.
Oh, yes.
Set on Jersey. I don't know if you filmed it on Jersey, if you
Yeah,
remember that at all.
filmed
Yeah,
it in
with
Jersey.
John Nettles. Yeah, that's right. I mean, such a long and eclectic career. But of course, the clips are only available for the earlier part of it, really, because all your later appearances are all tied up with copyright with various TV, channels, and it's difficult to get hold of. But there's a lot on YouTube that people can find for themselves. Are you happy with the way your career panned out? It's so eclectic, so many different
No, I'm not.
TV shows. What would you have preferred?
Well, I was going steadily in line for getting stardom. I mean, serious.
Yeah.
It had started,
Yeah.
but then I had a number of things which all sort of seemed to go against that.
Right.
And,
Just bad deals or auditions that didn't work out or
well,
bad decisions?
That sort of thing
Yeah.
happens all the time. you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's without going into it too much. It started in a way, and then got worse and worse.
Yeah, yeah. So, and how do you spend your time these days? What takes up your time?
I do very little.
Yeah.
When you're not feeling top class all the time.
Yeah.
It's very hard to keep going. I moved into sheltered accommodation.
Uh-huh.
So I've got people on hand if I need trouble.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise, one carries on this sort of thing.
Yes, quite right. Only makes it all the more special that you've joined us. And you mentioned to me earlier you have potentially an appearance at Elstree Studios coming up next year.
I've got to check it on the internet when I get home.
Yeah, great. I mean, I have to say, it's been an absolute personal pleasure to welcome you here into the podcast studio. I really appreciate you making the effort to come all the way to Slough, but it's been a delight to have you. Thank you very much to Prentis Hancock.
Thank you.
Well, it's a goodbye to Prentis Hancock for now.
Oh, yes, I'm sure we'll be
if I
back
know
to-
Chris Dale, he'll have his shepherd's crook out and he'll grab him as he's trying to leave the building.
Be delicate,
and force him down onto the randomizer sofa and make him press the button on the randomizer.
All right.
If I know Chris Dale.
You do know Chris Dale.
Oh, well, in that case, that's what's going to happen.
Good. Look forward to seeing that.
But thanks so much to Prentis for joining us and telling us about his life and career. Rather special moment.
Yeah, lovely to have him on.
I think next week we've either got Ronnie Ledrew, famous puppeteer that you might know from the likes of Rainbow. I think he was Zippy in Rainbow, much other TV shows besides, or David K. Barnes from the Wooden Overcoats.
Ah,
yeah,
gosh.
That I think Chris might be interviewing.
Yes, he probably will be.
So that's a nice couple of hours off for me, isn't it? I wonder what I'll do with him. Have a wander around Slough,
Yeah.
Have a curry.
Oh, let's go for a curry.
Yeah, let's do that with Chris. I think he's
delicious.
Brilliant. Yeah. But all for now, let's head on over to our Facebook group, though, shall we? At facebook.com/groups/podsterons, where the likes of Aid Swatridge have been posting recently.
Have they?
Aid says, I've listened to the podcast since the first one, and I'd like to listen via Alexa.
Okay.
I'm going to say that again. In fact, I'm going to give it a command to all people listening to the podcast. Alexa, play BBC Radio 6 music.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, play the Gerry Anderson podcast.
I can and have listened through Amazon Music, says Aid, on my phone and tablet by selecting it manually, but I like to wake up on a Monday and say, Alexa, play the latest Gerry Anderson podcast. Unfortunately, it always starts playing the Gerry Anderson show, some Irish thing. I cannot find a way to turn that off or stop it. Anyone else had this problem and found a way around it? Now it thinks that other show is a favourite.
Right. Alexa, stop.
Right.
Alexa, play the Gerry Anderson podcast from Anderson Entertainment.
Oh.
That's what you need to say, and then it will get the right one.
Excellent.
There you go.
Yeah, very good advice.
See?
Well done,
and
Jamie.
now it's playing, and now they're listening.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, out of sync. Mark Perkins commented on the Facebook group.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed revisiting Fireball XL5 recently. When I first got the network set, it was locked down. I'd never seen most of them before. As a child, my first encounter with the Space City Adventures was in TV Century 21, so I was somewhat disappointed when I finally saw an episode, as the stories were much less exciting on screen. Ooh.
Well.
As an adult, though, I appreciate the series for what it is, and love its ambition and variety. I can also realise what a massive leap forward it was from Supercar.
Well, so a bit of love for XL5, following on from Hannah's email as well.
Yeah.
Nice. People rediscovering it.
XL5 is just getting a lot of love.
That's great. Do you think it's because it's been appearing on Talking Pictures, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
Fairly recently, so maybe people have...
XL5 and Thunderbirds on Talking Pictures right now. Amazing.
Yeah. Great. This is Don Riley. Today's Randomiser featured stock footage of a train. It did.
Right.
The train in question is the Blue Pullman, built by Metropolitan Camel at Washwood Heath in Birmingham in 1960. There were 5 built, and they were allocated to the Western region and the London Midland region. They had a top speed of 90 miles an hour, but only saw 13 years of service before they were scrapped between 1974 and 1975.
Gosh.
Fascinating. See? There's always someone who knows stuff.
I know. Yeah. And it's sort of Anderson related, but not.
That's
which
right.
is great.
Yeah, nice.
Lynn McKinnon says, okay, I know most of those superfans out there might already know these facts, but for those new to the group, it might be of some interest.
Yes.
Taken from sci-fi.com.
Yeah.
On October the 24th, 1963, a sedimentation pond near Salzgitter, Germany, dumped 500,000 cubic metres of murky water into the Lenged-Breustedt iron mine.
Okay.
79 of the mine's 129 workers escaped over the next few hours, but the remaining 50 were trapped. Over the next 2 weeks, rescuers attempted to make contact with and rescue any survivors with little success. Eventually, rescuers drilled a hole 52.2 centimetres, that's 20.6 inches for our American listeners, wide, and pulled 11 miners up 59 metres, that's 194 feet, of freshly drilled mineshaft inside a torpedo-shaped retrieval capsule called the Dahlbusch bomb.
Wow.
The painfully slow rescue effort wedged itself in the mind of Gerry Anderson and remained there until a few weeks later when he arrived at a meeting about his next creative endeavour. Anderson was one half of the creative team, the other half being his ex-wife Sylvia, behind a number of television shows starring marionettes, which aired on British television during the middle of the 20th century. Is that true? Yeah. I don't believe it. As Anderson arrived at the meeting to pitch his next show, he couldn't stop thinking about how there should be an international organisation with the tools and the know-how to jump into action when they are needed. Because no such organisation existed, Anderson set out to invent one and put it on TV. Anderson pitched the show with a straightforward working title, International Rescue, but by the time the first episode hit British television sets in 1965, it had, of course, been rechristened Thunderbirds. Yes, there you go. We did know that.
Yes.
But many that don't.
Always worth repeating.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it was I'm not sure how close in time this was of a kind of, it's stuck in the back of my head and now I've got to pitch something random. I think it was inspiring over a little time period before it was pitched, but yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's nice to read that. So yes, our Facebook group, well, we often say it's the friendliest place on the internet, and I stand by that.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
People are really nice on there. You can say things that you perhaps wouldn't say elsewhere about your love for various shows that other people might scoff at.
Yeah, or your dislike, and that's fine too.
Of course it is, yeah. I can't stand Space Precinct. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that before.
No, you
Hate
haven't.
it. But yes, do drop on over to facebook.com/groups/podsterons. Join in the fun, post pictures of your merch, pictures of your cosplay, your Christmas presents from a few weeks back. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
International Rescue,
Yes.
of course. I did notice on the Gerry Anderson social feeds that a few weeks ago, the real-life International Rescue is no more.
Yeah, it's been dissolved after 40 years.
Yeah, 40 years.
Yeah,
That's a shame.
very sad. Yeah.
Maybe we should have a bit of a whip round and start it up again.
I'm not sure you and I can do
No?
much good in
I mean,
danger,
I don't have the time, really.
danger zones of our
Yeah.
own.
No, maybe not. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Jamie
No.
will do that.
No, I'm not doing it.
No, right. Fair enough. All for now,
We're not
but
brave enough.
I think it's time. Remember I mentioned earlier that if I knew Chris Dale, he'd be grabbing Prentis Hancock before he gets his taxi back
Yes.
to Chelsea and pinning him down on the Randomiser sofa.
Gosh.
Well, he has.
He really has.
Look, take a look at this.
Be gentle, Chris.
So Prentis, having pulled up one of my personal favourite episodes of Thunderbirds last week, and I know it's a favourite of quite a lot of other people, surely there's nothing better you can produce from the Randomiser today, but I hear you'd like to have another go.
Yeah, I
So,
will.
if you're feeling confident,
Right,
press the button.
here we go.
That's it, thank you. So we didn't get 1999 last week.
Yes.
And we haven't got 1999
No, we
again
have
this
the
week.
Protectors.
Never mind. The Protectors is just as good as that was a show you were in. Unfortunately, this is not an episode you were in. This is an episode with, I think, Anton Rogers in it. This is King Kong. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Lot 29. A unique example in
So,
golden
we
ivory.
welcome back to the Randomiser. It's the Protectors. And we open with one of my favourite sort of, oh, it's that guy actors. This is Peter Sellier playing the auctioneer,
£10,000.
who later turned up again in
20.
another episode in Series 2,
30.
The Last Frontier. But we are in this auction room.
40.
The Contessa is here,
45.
bidding on this probably very valuable antique. I don't know what it is.
52.
So she's watching. Also in the congregation here, and I don't think congregation is the right word for an auction house, but I'm going with it anyway. Anton Rogers. Oh, the Contessa has put a bid in.
I have a bid of 60,000.
Yes. She wants whatever this is badly.
61. 65. At 65, 66. 70.
So is Anton Rogers bidding on this, or is he the owner?
£75,000. So, the Contessa decontinued.
So the Contessa has another thing to add to her collection of things, I suppose. Yeah. This will get better. I remember this as being a good episode. Yes, this is one of the, I suppose, 3 comedy episodes of The Protectors. And on a scale between the really good comedy of Sugar and Spice and the absolutely abysmal, why would you even bother, this makes me just despair comedy of It Could Be Practically Anywhere on the Island, we have this. And I would say it's nearer towards Sugar and Spice, thankfully. I don't think anything comes close to It Could Be Practically Anywhere on the Island. And it's written by Tony Barwick, so we know that's a genuinely a good indication of quality. So, the Contessa has the thingy. Ah. She's shown Harry the thing that she bought. And now she's off to Prague to give it back, I believe, to a friend of hers. If I remember the story right. I do remember this one. I have fond memories of this.
How are the customers?
Customers? Oh, customs. Oh, smooth as silk. I imagine the wheels had been oiled a little, yes?
And also, oddly enough, mentioning the graveyard of comedy that is It Should Be Practically Anywhere on the Island. I think this actor is in that episode as well. He was playing the concierge at the hotel. I can't remember the actor's name. He was, around this time, he was also a semi-regular in The Zoo Gang, another ITC show. It was quite clever what they did with him in that series. I can't remember the actor's name though. Yes. But is Nairi Dawn Porter actually there? Or have the second unit just filmed some vehicles driving away?
Thank you. You Czech protectors have been very helpful.
Caroline,
Oh, right. So yes, he was a Czech protector. Because in the first series there were occasionally, you would see protectors from other countries. Most notably, Sherwood Price was an American protector in a couple of episodes. Again, Sherwood Price from the nightmare that is, it could be practically anywhere on the island. I'm not going to mention that anymore, because we've got King Kong. So the Contessa has got this antique from an auction. I believe it belongs to this lady that she's come to visit.
Yes. I meet you there in an hour.
But why is the Contessa just giving it to this lady? We will find out.
You've never considered marrying again? Well, I have, but not too seriously.
Bit of backstory there for the Contessa.
And its problems.
So, she's given her the antique. Okay. And she's happy?
Was that the man?
Oh, Anton Rogers. Yes.
Yes.
And Anton Rogers, again, talking of, it's that guy actors, they don't come any finer in British television than Anton Rogers. And this is his only Anderson appearance, I believe. Unless I'm forgetting something quite obvious. This is sweet, though. His clumsy English. He's obviously rehearsed.
You're wonderful too, Emil.
It's quite strange, though, for such a tough international organisation as the Protectors. Lots of shooting and so on. They've got this cuddly guy. It would be like hiring me for the Protectors. I'm not saying I'm cuddly. I'm just saying, physically, I'm probably not any more suited to this line of work than that guy is.
Right. They met in Paris.
A month later, Irina was left broken-hearted and he went back to England.
Well, broken hearts mend. She's married now.
So, Anton Rogers
is easily replaced.
She gave the icon to Sutherland?
Yeah.
has swindled the Contessa's friend out of a valuable icon. He was sort of leading her on and then split from her. He got the icon and then auctioned it. And so the Contessa purchased it for her friend to give it back to her.
I should get involved.
Is £75,000 a good enough reason?
I see a reason. Any ideas?
And that was a very, very nice thing to do for her friend. And it's a nice setup for a fairly light-hearted episode. The Contessa is going to swindle the man who swindled her friend. It's a very, very simple idea. And also along in this episode with Anton Rogers, we have Ronald Lacey as Cribbs, an actor in all sorts of things. Most notably, and we mentioned it fairly recently on the podcast, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's the guy with the hand.
Was there anything in particular you wished to see?
Yes, the rose, I think.
Of course.
Ah, Contessa.
Yeah?
You don't know me. My name is Sutherland. If you remember, you bought one of my paintings.
Yeah.
I like as well the dismissive attitude of the Contessa as soon as she lays eyes on him. It's a nice contrast to how warm and friendly we saw her with Harry and Paul in the previous scene.
Venetian?
I believe so.
Very nice, I'll take it.
And Anton Rogers is one of those actors who, at this time, was sort of transitioning from fairly straight dramatic roles to largely comedic. And you get a lot of shows around this time, particularly with the ITC stuff. He's kind of in this sort of in-between place. For every, like he was a number 2 in an episode of The Prisoner, fairly serious, but then he was in Randall and Hopkirk and played it for fairly broad comedy. This is somewhere in between, but he's always very likeable.
Contessa di Contini. Beautiful, intelligent, rich. Very rich indeed.
You've checked, have you?
What do you think? Here she is. Come on, we'll follow her. Find out where she
So, the Contessa has convinced Anton Rogers, and Mr. Sutherland, that's the character's name, to take an interest in her. Yeah, Ronald Lacey's character is pushed, fairly comedically, which may be to the episode's
You got any news for me, or views, scandal, comments?
But yeah, this is nice as well. The Protectors just get together to have a morning gossip over breakfast at Harry's place. Since this is the first season, Harry doesn't cook his own food. We've got Suki here to do that still. It's omelette or scrambled eggs or something for everybody today.
I go to the races. Why don't you join me?
And I've said it before as well, the incidental music in the show is so nice. Very, very listenable material. As Anton Rogers has put on his best suit to follow the Contessa. But she's aware of this. She's not a fool. Although she decides to play the fool in this scene and thereby lure him in that bit quicker. Oh, right, yes, because he's got silly old Cribs parked up ahead to force her off the road. But because the car doesn't work all that well, he almost causes a nastier crash than... Oh, well, there is an actual crash there. Which the Contessa is able to take advantage of now as Sutherland drives up. He's able to come riding to the rescue, as it were. And again, the Contessa gets to play along with it.
Contessa!
Oh, Mr. Sutherland, I feel like I think I'm going to faint.
Oh, it's all right, it's all right. You're in good hands now.
And what I like about this episode is, yeah, it is fairly comedic in tone. There's a bit of, comedy music there. Most of the actors aren't playing it especially broad. I think Anton Rogers is achieving a very fine balance between, being a comedy villain and being... He's not even really a villain, it's just an antagonist, kind of. Someone who's done some bad things but isn't like, "Wahahaha, I am so evil." This is great fun as well. Because, the Contessa has been soloing on this project so far, but now Harry's going to get involved as this fairly brash millionaire guy. I can't remember what she calls him, but they've gone to the races. We're going to have a good day with a lot of money, and that's what they want Sutherland to see. All the money, all the easy marks that he can get to by knowing the Contessa.
All right. On the nose, Chino. Yes, sir.
And for all you hear about horror stories in the making of this show, and so-and-so didn't like such and such and whoever, it seems like this, they seem genuinely sort of light-hearted and like there must have been a nice atmosphere at least some of the time. And Prentis said in his interview just now that he didn't remember it being an especially unhappy show, but then I suppose he was, he was essentially getting a holiday in Austria, so yeah, he only had a few scenes with Robert Vaughan, I think. And I remember the first time I saw this episode, and I also have a feeling it was released on VHS in the same way. These scenes with Paul out in the car, for some reason were flopped, so that everything was the other way around. I don't know why that would have been. Possibly there was some kind of, I don't know, maybe there was a car license plate visible in the background that nobody wanted to be seen. as well. I love the slightly tilted angles as Sutherland watches all of this money flying around. Harry's placing bet after bet, being supplied with money from a suitcase from Paul in the car park, and Harry crucially is not letting Sutherland in on what he's betting on. And speaking of the soundtrack as well, I love this music. And it's only in this scene, but the full track goes on for like 3.5 minutes. Oh yes, we've got to get some food in there. As it gets increasingly crazy.
You seem to have hit a winning streak today.
It happens.
Do you have some kind of system?
I'll tell you, my old grandpappy said to me once, and he lost $250,000 at one poker game. He said to me, "Ain't no system at all, Van."
How true.
Yes.
And it's also great that we're not, we're doing a comedy episode, but it's not, well, it's not painful. I find all this genuinely enjoyable. I think it might possibly be affection for the most part for these actors. But yeah, it's not insufferable like certain episodes I might name.
Whole lot. That's it?
Yeah, okay. So Chino's off to make another bet. It's also nice as well that you have something substantial for Anthony Chin to do here, even if it is just running up and down some stairs, waving handfuls of money all over the place.
Well, you can't win them all.
Too bad.
Oh dear.
No idea you were such a good actor.
I'm a lawyer, aren't I? Sutherland, let me buy you a big drink. Just happen to have a farthing left in my sock.
I don't understand that joke. Someone will have to explain that to me. So, back at Harry's place. He's very interested in this scheme now.
For expenses and entertainment for Sutherland for 2 weeks.
But he's keeping a full list of how much this has cost him.
How do I look?
Terrific.
Good. Tonight's a big night.
Listen, are you sure he's ready for that?
Mm-hmm. We're going to the White Cockatoo.
I believe this costume was used in several other episodes as well.
Sure we're not overdoing this? I mean, Sutherland is no fool.
He lives for two things, money and money.
Well, he also has the two main weaknesses of con man. Greed and the sublime belief that he can never be taken in himself.
Right. I'll see you later.
Yes, I think what makes it work is that you have the scenes like this where they're hatching the plan, but you also, and these are fairly comedic to a certain extent, but you also have the in-between scenes where they're talking about the plan, and there we've got the usual protectors kind of stuff. The fact that this sort of revenge campaign that they've embarked on is very low stakes, ultimately. It doesn't really matter.
It's Van.
Van, that's the name of the character that Harry is playing, who is now hit on rather hard times by the look of it.
Thank you.
An aperitif, sir?
No, I want a...
Yes, he looks very bedraggled compared to how he was at the races.
Is something wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong. Just finished, that's all. I'm washed up. I'm pooped and dead.
Oh, now look, Van, I have known you for a very long time. You must tell me, what is the trouble?
Trouble? Well, I
also like with this that you've got the Contessa, to a certain extent the Contessa, and also Harry, trying to be actors, if that doesn't sound mean to Robert Vaughan and Nairi Dawn Porter, which I would never intentionally be. I like that they're kind of overplaying their roles here. And we know what they're up to, but it's great to watch Anton Rogers in the background trying to put the pieces together. He's got a fine line in confused expressions in this episode.
Could you help him, Alan?
So Mr. Sutherland is now being roped into donating money to Van, poor old Van.
Because if you did, I got a great piece of security here. Yeah.
Security.
What have we got? Oh, it's a ring, isn't it? Is it a ring or a diamond?
How's that?
Oh,
That's good.
it's very nice, whatever it is. It's got his attention. Yeah, it's a shame that Anton Rogers wasn't... I don't know what other Anderson show he would have fit into, but he's just always a very likeable actor in everything I've seen him in. And as I said, a lot of his work post this was really more in comedy. In fact, it's surprising that he didn't do more for ITC. He did The Prisoner, he did Danger Man, Randall and Hopkirk. There's also a non-ITC series that would have been a year or so after this, or possibly 75, named Zodiac, where he plays a police officer whose career hasn't really gone anywhere, who teams up with Anuska Hempel as a psychic, or no, an astrologer, and he sort of uses her. She predicts, oh, this sign means that so and so is gonna be murdered or whatever, and he's like, oh, that's not going to happen. And then they die, and she's like, oh, how does she do that? I mean, it was only a 6-episode show, but it was fairly enjoyable. So he was a good leading man.
It's possible to transfer money at short notice.
Anywho, Cribbs has authenticated the ring. I also love the way that they've just quite happily left Mr. Sutherland alone in Harry's apartment, knowing that he's a con man who's out for whatever he can get, and they're so sure of themselves that he's going to follow them and stick with the ring, rather than ransack the place and just leg it. Because, he could start rifling through drawers and find Harry Rule's passport and think, hang on, I'm being conned here. Anywho, Harry, with a suitcase full of money, donated by Mr. Sutherland, is heading into a warehouse to pay off his debtors and thereby get himself out of trouble. Ronald Lacey has followed, keeping an eye on things, but unfortunately, it's not gone well for Van. Yes, Harry comes out of there mugging for all he's worth, as the other protector guy and Paul make like they've just shot Harry and they've taken the money for themselves. I think that's also probably the only time you'll hear what music in an Anderson show over a dead body.
I don't know, a couple of foreigners. You know, Countess, I think I'm in over my head.
What about the money?
Well, they took it.
But you still have the diamond, haven't you?
I like as well the desperation here, where Sutherland has got to this point where he's like, yeah, as he said, I'm in over my head. This is totally outside of his field. He'll swindle people, he'll cheat people, but gunplay and murder, that's totally out of line. Quite unique for a protector's adversary. So, with Van dead, the Contessa has talked him into selling the diamond to get back some of his money. And who's this appraising the ring?
Would like to sell this diamond ring.
It's Paul. Yes, this is where the hustle, as it were, is finally revealed. And yeah, I suppose it is actually quite prescient, this episode, in the sense that Robert Vaughan would years later be shooting a series fairly similar to this episode in the same city.
It's a very fair price, sir. If it were real.
Now let's bring on everybody who was involved in the con. There's Harry. There's the other protected guy. There's Chino.
Oh, this is nice. What I saw is that. Carol.
And there's Suki, who wasn't really involved in this scheme apart from making breakfast. I guess that was enough to pull her in, but
Go right ahead.
I'll deny everything.
The Contessa is a lady. And a personal friend of the Commissioner. Who do you think they're going to believe?
So, that's it. they've conned him out of a lot of money.
85,000 exactly.
What are they going to do with it, though?
£4,278.
Donate it to charity? Or is it just going to go to the Protector's Expense Fund?
Tu es vraiment ravissante.
Merci, Paul. Tu es magnifique aussi.
Yeah, lock up the bread, Susie. What do you think, Harry?
So yeah, they're just going to keep it. Unless I waffled over an earlier explanation of what they would do with the money, it is quite telling, but it's also consistent with this show that, any money that comes into their hands, by and large, they keep it for themselves.
Oh, thank you. Hey, this is the real one, isn't it?
Ah, yes. It was a question of a fake and a real one.
It is, isn't it, Harry?
But we don't find out what happens to Sutherland afterwards. I guess he just moves on to the next victim, but that's not the Protector's concern. They've helped the Contessa's friend out and also helped themselves out. And that was King Kong, which, I've always really enjoyed. Michael DaCosta. There we go, that's the other Protector's chappie who was hanging around. It's a fairly simple idea, but it shows again that the strength of this series is in the fact that the format is so loose you can tell any story basically. Nice and light-hearted, something a bit different, and on the whole, I've always really enjoyed that one. Good stuff.
Oh! The Protectors. I mean, it's a series that Prentis would know.
Yeah.
But not an episode that he'd be familiar with, perhaps.
No. And probably not one he'd like either.
Well, we don't know because he didn't watch it.
Because he went home.
Wisely enough.
Yes, very sensible, Prentis.
But Protectors is a bit of an outlier, isn't it? You know, in a sense, but it's always nice to see it there.
Is it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Provides a contrast for when things are less bad.
Well, perhaps there'll be something better next week. We don't know because it's
random.
That's why we call it the Randomiser.
Yes, thank you. Genius.
Oh, you knew
Pure
that?
genius.
I see. Who came up with that? Was it Chris?
I think it was probably Chris.
Oh, right.
He's very clever, that bloke.
He's very clever.
Yeah.
All for now. We'll see you next week for Pod 292. When we'll have a special guest. I don't know which one it is. Can't remember the running order of things. But there will be another special guest in the interview chair. And we'll have, hopefully, many more missives, epistles and emails. We're still waiting for a physical letter from one of our Podsterons.
We've been asking for ages. We've not had anything.
Email us at podcast@gerryanderson.com or post it to the Slough...
Moxie
the Moxie Slough in William
5 William Street, Slough. SL11GZ, I believe.
Great. Failing that, we'll just see you next week for more of the same.
Yeah, and a news roundup.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I might even win my specs.
All right.
Bye. Something to look forward to. Bye.
This is Christmas Control. Stand by. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
Do you think the specs are an important part of the whole news thing, or can I get away with it now? Just forget it.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know why I bother then.
Well,
really.
why do you need them?
It's just to differentiate, isn't it?
Oh, so you didn't, when you did it previously with your specs, you didn't actually need them. It was an
Oh,
affectation.
no, I did need them.
But so why don't you need them now? That's my question.
Because now I'm reading off my phone
And
on the
before-
notes and making it up. Before, I was reading off...
Making it up, did you say?
Ad-libbing.
Oh, I see.
But before, I had a little auto cue thing on the phone, you see, which I had to be able to read. And otherwise, I'd be doing that.
Right, okay. No one
And
wants to see
no,
that.
nobody wants to see me squinting.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'll wear my specs next time.
Okay. A spectacular episode of the Gerry Anderson podcast? No, I'll get
I
my
like
coat.
what you did there.
And my specs.
Anyway, bye.
Bye.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.